Alright, so here today we are going to be reviewing the 5 types of result clauses that you know up to this point. So, if you go online to Canvas, you will find this document. It's the uses of the subjunctive. It has all the uses you're going to need to know of the subjunctive. And we're going to be filling in the first 5 rows. So let's start with purpose clauses. These are the clauses, remember, that introduce the reason for the main verb in the sentence. All right? On your chart, there really is no identifying words for the purpose clause, so you'll leave this second one blank. But then the introductory word, we have ut. All right? And we translate this most often, so that. Or we can do in order that. All right? So for example, Clemens laborat in tablina ut, so that he can become rich. Fieret D-ways. So Clemens works in the shop so that he will become rich. Pretty simple example of a result clause, a purpose clause. Next, what we have are indirect commands. And these are introduced by ordering verbs. So, persuadeo, impero, sometimes jubeo, incito, any type of verb that can be given in order. This also has an ut, and we typically translate the ut as to. So, Clemens persuaded Quinto. Persuaded. Ut. Suum tablinam, or suam. Tablinam daret. So, Clemens persuaded Quintus to give him his shop. All right? So he's persuaded him to do something. Next, we're going to do result clauses. And so these are introduced by a word like tantus, talis, tam, taught, adeo, ita, or seek. All right, so you're going to see one of these words introduced in the result clause. Then you're going to have the ut. And this one is translated as that, or it can be more complicated with the result that. And remember, I said these are kind of like your mama jokes. So let's do an example. Tantus erat clamor ut centurionem non, the non in there, non audierent. So great was the shout that no one heard the centurion. All right? So great was the shout that no one heard the centurion. All right, so these are all the ut clauses that we know for right now. Next, we're going to have indirect questions, all right? And so there's typically a verb of asking, or seeking, or inquiring, something like that. Rogo, quairo, peto are all possible things. And then you're going to have a question word, such as cur, ubi, quai, etc. All right? And you're going to just translate the question word as a question word. So, for example, Savius nescebat, nescebat, cur, Quintus, fugeret. So Salius did not know why Quintus fled. All right. So we have that question word right in here, and then we have our subjunctive. And this is asking. I guess we can also add in here knowing verbs. Here. All right. And then the final one, which was the first one we learned, but it's usually the easiest one, is cum temporal clauses. Remember, temporal just means time. And they don't have no introductory word, so none here, none here. But it does get introduced by a cum. All right? And this we translate most often as when. So let's think of an example. Quintus cum adveneret in Britannia habitat cum cogito. So Quintus cum advenerat in Britannia habitat cum habitabat cum cogadobnos. So Quintus, when he arrived in Britain, was living with cogadobnos. Notice, cum plus a subjunctive, when, cum plus an ablative, with. All right, you want to be careful with those two distinctions. All right, but these are our 5 types of subjunctive clauses. And we will add on to this list as we go through. So it would be a good idea to print that list off and use it to kind of study for your upcoming test.